All right, we're live. So welcome back to the final Get Wanda, because that show's over with. So here we go. Colton, you want to start?
Yeah, we'll get Wanda again next March.
We'll get Wanda some more. Is she coming back next March?
That's when Doctor Strange 2 is.
Okay.
And apparently a lot of cliffhangers should be answered in Doctor Strange 2. I'll start with a comment that Steven said to me, so I'm stealing this from you, buddy. Wanda's head is fractured, right? That cracking sound.
He crunched something.
It was Vision's hands.
Oh, he just has arthritis like me. He can just kind of like.
That was his.
He hasn't moved in a while. You know what I mean? He's like breaking back in.
Gotta pop it all back in.
Yeah, she'd be in deep trouble if that was her head.
It really wasn't a big deal. It's not like I thought it was bad. I was just like, is that her skull?
Yeah,
it's just her temples. You know, just the least sensitive part of your skull.
True.
It's not protecting anything vital or anything like that. It's fine.
No. It's really decoration.
The real question is Wanda farsighted? Because every time there's a fake person right in front of her face, she can't tell that it's not them. So could this have been really shut down in like 2 episodes, or she just went to the eye doctor?
She just needs to magic some glasses on her face.
She just needs the glasses, yeah.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, I really liked the episode. All theories not fulfilled, I was actually happy with. All cliffhangers that we ended with, I was happy with. Just overall, I thought the complete show was great. Like nitpicky things here or there, and a lot of questions, but I really liked the episode. Does anyone else disagree or agree?
I think overall, once I finished the show, I thought it okay. I liked it. I wasn't like blown away by it, but I enjoyed it. It was better definitely than what I thought it was going to be, because I was interested enough by the trailer, just what I saw. But then when I actually started watching the show, I was like, okay, this is working better than I originally thought. But I can't say I was like stunned. You know, it's not Winter Soldier, it's not the Dark World. You know, it's kind of in like a middle positive space for me.
It was its own thing that definitely had the MCU flavor at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like as it progressed, it became more and more what we know, but how they got there in the process, I enjoyed the ride. And I liked this format over if this were to be a movie, which is cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I feel like they made me care about both Wanda and Vision. And I won't say I didn't care about Vision, but he was just kind of that robot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And given it's weird because that wasn't even, really Vision, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe, well, I guess it is now. But point being, like, Wanda wasn't a whole lot of a character to start with. And I mean, you could argue that there hasn't been a whole ton of character development on her side, but there kind of has, or there's at least been plot development that makes you care more.
There's a line you can follow that this show was able to expand the whole line, which was awesome.
Yeah. And I do feel like moving forward, she's poised to be, I think I said this last time, like she seems like she's one of, if not the main character in the MCU at this point.
And seriously, I thought she was A tier at least before this show. And after this episode, S class. Like, there's no arguing. Like, she's S class. I do not know. Who do I know?
Were you talking like power level?
The power level and influence over the whole this universe. Yeah, she's like our top 2 contenders that I know of at this point. Captain Marvel and Wanda, and they're very different powers, which is really cool. Yeah, and I'd say Thor is under there, and I would say Prime Thor. Hopefully, I don't know if Fat Thor is the same strength as Ripped Thor. I don't know how that works. I don't care. I just know that Captain Marvel and Wanda would win.
Yep. Heck, both of them almost already won against Thanos.
My sister said Wanda's her new favorite female superhero now. Significant. And again, it's cool because, I mean, Captain Marvel has the same kind of military demeanor like Captain America. Like, you know, she deals with tragedy much different, and she's very like, all right, what's the mission? Whereas Wanda is someone we have a character who's addressing mental health in a way we haven't seen, but they're doing it tactfully and cool with the powers. I'm just very satisfied with how they handled her, and I still don't quite know what her allegiance is at this point. I know her heart is good, but I think her power is inherently evil.
That's something I was curious about.
Because they definitely they made it a point with a couple things they did of like, you know, when Agatha was throwing the military people, she made, you know, they made a point to show her like catching the people so they didn't fall. Like they did a lot of stuff to show you that she is good, you know.
She didn't realize they were all suffering. She didn't realize. She assumed that it was like, yeah, I'm controlling you, but I thought you were all happy and at peace with my world. Nah, not even a little bit. Also, when she freaked out, all of a sudden she's just accidentally choking them to death, and she's like, no, didn't want that. But that seemed like a very specific thing to do. She did accidentally. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, her power, and what Agatha said about her being the, like, you're gonna destroy the world.
Like not intentionally, but just that power in itself might be what destroys.
Yeah, she's a problem. Also, the Darkhold is a problem. I'll start talking a little bit more about comics because it's like the show is over, but the Darkhold corrupts its users. Like that's not a book you should read on a Sunday.
Okay, so that's what the Necronomicon or whatever she was reading.
Yeah, the Darkhold. Yeah.
What's weird about that too is that book was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm. And what the last person that had it was Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah.
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 But did you say Ghost Rider or Ghost Writer?
Ghost Rider.
Wait a minute. This is news to me. So actual Ghost Rider is in MCU?
Season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. they did Ghost Rider.
Oh, okay.
Now I have to care about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, I don't think you really...
Cool.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. always did the thing of like, it was like, it would kind of come close to the MCU storyline and then like, not really.
And then Kevin was like, guys, back off.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and I think what the book looks different in the show than it does in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than it does in Wanda, but also that book changes appearance, so it doesn't
it did that in the comics because different artists drew the book.
Drew it different.
They had to explain that away. So yeah, the book can change form.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like, oh, the book looks different in the show than it does in the movie. Who cares? Right? Like, you know, it's like if you say that's the book, then that's the book. You know, it's fine.
But you know, if you're bringing up that book to comic book readers, it's like, oh no.
Yeah. But yeah, as long as you just like designate that, like you show it on camera and say this is that book. You know, I could care less if it looks different between the show.
Me too. Honestly, I completely disregard Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, it's a thing that exists and it's fine, but it still doesn't quite seem like MCU to me. It's kind of like, is Dr. Pepper a Coke or Pepsi product? I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a Coke product or not. It's an MCU product.
That's a really good analogy. It's like it's its own thing. It's distributed by Marvel, but it's not really. Like actually, I love that. All right, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Dr. Pepper. I love it.
And yet I will never choose it, just like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Diet Dr. Pepper's all right. Yeah, I know it's the worst. It's worse than what you're talking about. But as far as like a soda that's 0 calories that tastes all right, it does the trick.
It gets the job done.
So is White Vision just Vision now? Because it sure seemed that way to me.
It sure seemed that way. So I don't want to talk. I stood up and almost had to change my pants.
We did. We had to pause.
Just when Vision said the words "May I," because I got real worried. Because when in Age of Ultron, when it was the two AIs, when it was Jarvis and Ultron with no body, like Ultron was in distress and started kind of freaking out after absorbing all the information, and Jarvis was like, "May I?" And as soon as he said "May I," Ultron just attacked him, and that's when he destroyed that Jarvis. So I got real worried when Vision said "May I," but this Jarvis obliged because they seemed to be on the same page, which loved that whole conversation.
That was like my one. You were like, "Hey, how do you like it?" I'm just sitting there because so they do the mind meld or whatever, and then White Vision's like, "Okay, I guess I am Vision," and then he just leaves.
Bye.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. So now Vision just gets to have a physical form again. He's back. It's fine. And then Fake Vision Yeah, and then fake Vision is like, okay, well, we have to do this. And I'm just sitting there like shouting at the TV, just tell her you're real again, and it's fine.
I don't think it's quite right. I mean, it seems like it's not quite right based on him bailing. Also, a note I saw online when so there's Vision, which is the Hex Vision, and the Vision is White Vision.
Mm-hmm.
When the Vision woke up, he looked at his left hand, and people took note that when Ultron was last alive, he was missing a left arm.
Okay.
Small, probably nothing. Certainly nothing. Could be cool. I just want Ultron.
Also, I think we kind of have like almost like 3 Visions now. You have like Vision Prime, Hex Vision, and like this new White Vision. Because like the whole thing they're talking about, like the ship of Theseus, is like neither of them are really Vision. So you've kind of like, yeah, like is this actually going to be like the Vision we had before, or a different Vision? I think it's kind of a different Vision.
But he should have all of his memories and feelings for Wanda,
right? And so I could not understand. So we're about to our kids are gone, our life together is gone. Remember, it was fun though. Why not just say, also, by the way, there's that other thing, just so you know. I can't understand.
It's a clip. Well, knowing Marvel, they'll certainly do nothing with it. No, it's a good thing to look forward to. I'm excited.
I mean, it's the second time that they're doing something like this now, though, because now we also have to figure out Gamera again.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the same thing. Like, everybody's got all these feelings and memories.
Gamera, like the kaiju turtle?
That's what I heard.
Spins?
No, I specifically said it that way.
Okay.
I like to imagine the Chris Pratt as Star-Lord is going to romance a turtle, and it's going to be great.
I see. I just caught up.
Flying around on a turtle like Master Roshi.
He is the champion of the children of Earth. That is one of his titles.
Nope.
Maybe we'll get like Gamora and Vision show, where it's just the two of them trying to figure out who they are. They're both just two different people.
Yeah, the multiverse stuff is definitely going to get more and more mixed up, but I mean, I liked that the Vision fight with just 2 of the same thing, essentially. Yeah, this isn't going to end, so we just got to talk this out. That's just the best way, and it was also fitting for that character.
It makes 100% for that character.
Because also that character is so above every other thing that happens, and like kind of always has been, and so it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this, and it's like, listen, there's a lot of garbage going on.
Right.
But we're both smarter than this. Like, we don't have to play this stupid game. Let's just, here's what I know. What do you know? Let's just, like, do that. And then they did that.
I have no issues so far, unlike the internet, with Ralph.
Oh, no.
But can we say his full name? Do we care? It's on MCU.
Because of spoiler, it's his name.
Ralph Boner.
Ralph Boehner.
Ralph Boehner. Yeah, that guy. I don't care because I really didn't want. I didn't want pure Fox X-Men. I wanted some sort of something else. Yeah. I don't think that thread is done either. But even if it is, I'm fine. The biggest confusion for me, and the only complaint is, how is he fast? Necklace made him fast. Can Agatha just grant people powers? Like, now you are Captain America because of a necklace. Mm-hmm. That's concerning and interesting, but whatever.
Because Necklace made him fast and also strong. Remember, he like flicked her and like threw her across the room.
Flick was super fast.
With speed? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because he did the same thing in the Fox movies. In that scene where they're breaking Michael Fassbender out of jail, he would just poke people in the face and they would go flying.
You're right.
Hitting someone at 800 miles an hour with a finger, they're still gonna go.
And Link did that to The Rock with the sledgehammer.
That's exactly what happened. Yep. Link is Quicksilver. You got it.
But yeah, no, that was just complete stunt casting, and it was.
Yeah, honestly, no, it was exactly what we said and were kind of afraid it would be, which was, haha, get it?
Well, like Colton said, I'm perfectly fine with it. Also,
but they were messing with us, which is nice. I like the ride of the show.
Marvel did a really good job this season of like putting these little things in to make you think like, oh, we're getting multiverse, oh, we're doing all this stuff. But then at its heart, it was a much simpler story than like what you thought it was going to be.
At the end of the day,
that kind of gets me. What? Sorry, what?
Go for it, Justin.
At the end of the day, this set up like 3 movies. So it's not like it didn't set up anything. I just didn't need it to also, in addition to those 3 movies, set up Fantastic Four, X-Men, all that other Deadpool. I don't need all of that right now in just one series. You know, you can set up Doctor Strange, you can set up Captain Marvel 2, and there's another one I'm thinking of, and whatever the Vision's going to be in, whatever. Well, it's probably going to be Avengers Disassembled. I'm calling it right now. That's the next Avengers movie. But we'll see.
Well, my problem with the Quicksilver thing is like, if he's not some kind of multiverse, he's like basically the same guy but looks slightly different. Like, why would she think that was her brother? Just because he said he was? It's not like they shared like.
Well, she said that, and
he's the same version of a guy from a different multiverse. Which I mean, that's complicated, but sure, whatever. But some guy just shows up and say, "Hey, I'm your brother." And you're just like, "No, you're dead." But it's cool. Come on in.
Well, I think it was either last episode before last. Agnes said, like, you're so filled with doubt that you believed that.
Sure, but it's paper thin.
Come
like, and also, I mean, they hired the guy. I don't need him to be X-Men. And again, yeah, it probably will be a thing down the line. But I don't like that. I think that's stupid. If there's not something related down the line, I'm not a fan of that at all.
Even if it's just to throw off the fans, because the show is meant to be as confusing to us as it is to everyone in there.
I don't think it is though, because really it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like after
it was pretty confusing.
No, but it was confusing in some ways, and it was extremely straightforward in other ways. Like by the end of episode 2, when Wanda rewinds time and you see that she's the one who does that, you realize, okay, she's the one doing the thing here. And it takes them like 4 more episodes to really cement that by trying to make you think, well, maybe it was but all of those things were dead ends. Like the plot of this show was really straightforward when you don't take their twists.
Yeah, like a lot of the twists weren't in the show. We have discussed so much trash that has nothing to do with that show. Mephisto, that wasn't
Absolutely.
there.
That's not true. Okay. I now disagree. I'm willing to name drop Mephisto now. Now I am because of the end credits.
Because of the kids, yeah.
So now I'll talk about comics again. So her kids in the comics, because you can't just make life. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that was a question that was left for sure.
In order to do that, she made kids, but she accidentally took pieces of Mephisto's soul, and they had to be returned to hell.
This is in the comic, you say?
Yes.
Okay.
So she's probably going to go have to fetch her children from hell.
So we think that is where they came from then?
I believe that her fragments of her soul came from Mephisto. Yes, I do. I'm willing to say his name now that the show's over.
Now the show's over and we didn't see him, I'll say it.
Hey, did anyone pay attention to the music at the end?
I didn't, but I mean, I know it, but only because you sent it to me.
Yeah, no. So if when at the end when she's studying and her astral form is doing her Doctor Strange thing, the music is a slowed down Doctor Strange theme.
Really?
I should watch Doctor Strange.
That's cool. I couldn't even tell you Doctor Strange's theme if I heard it.
I had to rewatch Doctor Strange, and this show rhymes. It's amazing. Because they explain, like when the Ancient One's talking to Doctor Strange, he's like, magic comes from pulling powers from other multiverses. They drop multiverse multiple times in Doctor Strange 1. I just forgot that. And like pulling, energy from other multiverses and harnessing it to do spells, etc. Wanda does the same thing, but she can kind of just do anything. She's the ultimate Mary Sue, but in an explained way. Like I'm not saying she's Rey Skywalker. I'm saying she's a good character. Sorry. Yeah. It definitely rewatch Doctor Strange, and it helps add context to the show. It's really cool. What was it?
Justin was elaborating on the plot essentially being pretty straightforward. When you take away all the misdirection, it's pretty just kind of like, well, this is it. Like,
so they decided they were going to make a mystery show, and the way that they made the mystery show was they showed it out of order. Nothing about it is mysterious if you get it in order. Like if the very first episode is Wanda goes to New Jersey, has a breakdown, sets up the hex, there's no mystery.
That's because that's how every single show, not just superhero or anything, that's how every show goes now.
Absolutely. Because nobody, like it's like they call it mystery boxing, where, oh, what's in the mystery box? There's no like trick to the mystery box. There's no, here's your information, put the puzzle together. It's, I'm just not going to tell you what's in the box.
Which I find to be so annoying as a storytelling device. I think the reason I wasn't as annoyed, even though you're right, that is what happened, is that Wanda very much was trying to, and again, when she's like, Colton said earlier, like she's like, oh, but I thought you were fine. No, she did. Like, I don't think she did. I didn't get I got the impression maybe she just didn't care about that. Like, I'm not, because there were lots of little things, like Vision's like, what's really going on, Wanda? And she's like, shut up, don't talk about that. Like, she knew. You know what I mean? Yeah. But because like she was trying to push all this stuff and ignore it.
Kitchen.
Yeah. And because you're trying to bury all of that, the whole like mystery that's not really a mystery thing at least is more acceptable or palatable to me.
Sure, like it's trying to create its own tension, but the tension's not based on the mystery. The tension is based on the characters, which is fine. That worked. It worked because you have, at the very least, maybe at the very most, 2 characters who you care about in this show.
I like Rambo.
Problem is every other character is not important, really.
Well, there were only 4 total characters in the show.
No, of course not. You're forgetting that they introduced, let's see, they introduced Monica, who
that was one of them.
Didn't do anything except set up Captain Marvel.
But like, she was at least a character.
Yes, she was a character, but her contribution was nothing. The only thing that she did was she was not a subject of this show. She was an object of this show.
She hit that wall real good.
Yeah,
in the rover.
Exactly. No, she existed to get thrown out of the hex the first time so that you knew that Wanda could throw people out of the hex.
I mean, plotline wise, without her and Wu and Darcy, like
no, you wanted someone to go in and come out, like.
Sure, but like that's not a character. That's a plot device.
Correct.
That you needed somebody to do X, so here's this character to do it. So you're developing this hero.
If I didn't know,
but you're not actually doing anything with this hero. She goes in. She almost gets shot by weird villain Todd Howard, and then she gets pulled into a movie theater so she can have her movie later. Like that was Monica, and she was introduced as so much more than that.
I would say that you also, I mean, part of her character was showing Wanda that there are people that still care. You know, like her breaking through it again to come in and say, like, no, they're like, I know you don't like Sword, but we're not all like that. Like, we can help you. Like, let us help you.
That's true too, but that kind of leads into a different problem I have, which is I don't know why Sword was there.
Yeah, so what is up with, I mean, I assume all of this is, you know, going to be explained down the line and all this, because this is the first time we've... Is this the first time we've ever heard of Sword in this show?
In the MCU, yes.
Aside from Nick Fury's pager.
Okay.
So unless you're looking for the Easter egg, yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's the first time they've outright have said Sword.
Because when they started talking about Sword, I was like, okay, Sword and Shield, I kind of get it, but I didn't know anything about Sword before this show. Is what I'm.
Sure, you got it through context clues.
Hey, and I'm just, I don't mean to divert from the topic. I'm just going to forget if I don't say this right now. Yeah. Do we think Sword's name is going to change to its proper name now that the whole Vision thing's done?
Oh, was that Sword?
So sword is normally instead of sentient weapon observation response division, it's sentient world observation response division. So now that their sentient weapon is just kind of, I don't know, on the moon, do you think they might give it its proper name? Like that was a Todd thing?
I don't know who runs sword now. Todd's in jail.
It should be Rambo.
I'd imagine, it'd be her because that was the whole thing.
Going to space.
I mean, if
she can run it from space.
I know I said I wanted them to keep more villains alive, which I'm glad Agatha's still alive, but did we have to keep that guy alive? Because, like, by far, probably my least favorite aspect of the show was that guy.
Yeah.
No, that guy showed up and he just started blasting.
He was okay with shooting children.
It is.
Yeah,
he is also a plot device. You needed a villain who was willing to just be Joe Evil Guy.
Yeah, he was a cartoon character.
Exactly what he was.
Yeah.
I need bad businessman. Like,
that is what he was.
I'm still not ruling out, Justin, that he's going to be president.
In real life?
I think we talk about it's too much like real life. That can't happen.
Yeah.
But in real life, it's going to be actual Todd Howard. So we have that to look forward to. And he's got something really special to show us.
I hated that kid shooting scene so much. Not for the kid shooting. That's fine. Whatever. Except Monica shows up. She phases through the bullets, absorbs their energy, and then does nothing with it. So what is her power? She can see energy and absorb energy, but then do nothing with it?
Think of her comic book name Spectrum, right? You saw her eyes change different colors as she uses different powers. Essentially that.
Like, is she Shulk?
Yes. Yeah, she's Shulk. Yeah,
but she didn't
change what she needs to do given this given circumstance. So she will, like, we've only seen like blue and yellow, but we'll see purple, we'll see red, we
need to see the rest of the Monado arts.
Yeah.
So then she shows up, she does her little face thing, but apparently the kid could have just stopped the bullets the whole time. So like she didn't even need to be there.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he didn't know he could do that.
Just there to be there for.
Now, also, this is kind of going back a little bit off topic, but same thing. I'll probably forget about it if I stall it any longer. So with her thinking that people were okay being under her control, and I'm just thinking about this now when she's talking to fake Pietro, she asked, "You don't think this is wrong?" Meaning that, like, she would know that her puppeting all these people around would be morally questionable. Mm-hmm. But then when they break free, they're all like, "Wanda, what the heck?" And she's like, "Oh no, I didn't think you would have a problem with it."
There's a difference of listen. Both are morally wrong. I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong. There's a difference between puppeting an entire town and thinking they're all happy and at peace with your magic, and not realizing they're all actually being tortured with your magic.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Think that's what her realization was in this episode. She knew what she was doing was wrong, and I think what she was doing was wrong, but I don't think she realized they were in hell.
Yeah, I don't think she realized that they were in pain and that the grief was seeping into them.
Like, I mean, that's what the show told me.
Sure, I'll buy that she didn't know her own damage was poisoning them. I'll buy that. But she knew they didn't want to be controlled, obviously.
I mean, she knew that she was locking their kids into their room and not letting them out. Clearly she knows, like, having kids is important.
I also think there was a little more on her plate. I don't think she understands her power. I think she was overwhelmed. But, and again, I'm not defending what she did, because kind of right now, I consider her more of a villain than a hero at this point. I really do, after what she did.
Yeah, but the show doesn't. The show told you that you're supposed to root for her still, because that's why they had the one line that Monica gets to give at the end too, where they'll never know what you sacrificed for that. Like, you're supposed to absolve her of that blame somehow, and that's not cool.
I just disagree, because she's a sympathetic character, but that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? We've got to see her story and, like, be able to understand what's going on with her. And again, the fact that her negative energy, which she's full of after these years of torment, it kind of controls her at this point. I don't.
I just think, if they wanted to show her as this kind of like gray, maybe villain kind of thing, because I kind of got the sense that she kind of came out this definitely looking more like the hero because a literal cackling witch showed up and sort of contrast to her to make her appear like I'm the better of these two, and like, oh, we have the same powers but like a dark reflection sort of thing. So like it definitely makes the stuff that she did look less evil in contrast when you literally have a villain showing up saying I kill dogs and showing her in opposition of that.
But I still defend Agatha. I think that her ultimate goal was probably morally good.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's also the ends justify the means thing. If depending on what you're trying to do, if you're doing some real insidious stuff to do it, then you kind of have to question the character itself. Whether what they're doing ultimately is justified. But
the best thing Scarlet Witch did was release the people she took captive. Like, that doesn't deserve and Colt, you'll disagree with me, I'm sure, but when at the end, when Monica's like, hey, they won't ever know what you sacrificed or whatever, I had the same reaction where I'm like, okay, that's a viewpoint, I guess. And then she flew away. And to me, when she flew away, that felt like Superman flying away from Congress to me. Like, I was like, weird, she's just leaving.
No, I do agree. I'm not sure she's not a villain.
Yeah.
No, I do agree. I'm not sure
she's not a villain. They set that up because Agatha tells her heroes don't torture people, and then once she wins, she tortures her.
For sure.
I mean, and just for me, if you showed me Mickey Mouse reading the Darkhold, I'm like, oh, so Mickey Mouse is going to be a murderer. Yikes!
I'd like to see that.
I'm not convinced that she's not the bad guy in Doctor Strange 2. I'm not convinced of that yet. I mean, we like this character because we've seen what she's gone through and she has been an Avenger, but historically also in the comics, she has gone from bad guy to good guy to worst bad guy to kind of on her own. So Avengers Disassembled, I mean, in that she kills Vision and she kills Hawkeye. Like she's the threat of that movie. And I kind of hope that happens. I really like her as a character. I'm not saying as a hero. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
And then she'll be a dark Phoenix.
We need Scott.
You know what's really frustrating about that, though, is that you get that because you have all this exterior context. Like, you have that background knowledge. They didn't even name the book to the audience.
Yes, they did.
Did they?
Called it the Darkhold.
Yeah, she says this is the Darkhold.
That's the reason why I crap my pants. They said
Agatha 100%.
You're the Scarlet Witch. It says this. They absolutely say.
Okay, then they named it, but they sure didn't explain it.
Well, she talked about it.
She explains. Yeah, she explains it.
She just says Darkhold, Book of the Dead, or Book of the Damned, or something like that.
It's very implied. It's not a happy book.
Sure. I can even buy that, but that's fine. I saw plenty of mummy movies where they read the bad book for good reason.
Well, you also have Doctor Strange that shows you all those books as well. So
okay, so sure, you have again some kind of external context. I'm just trying to look at the show and what it tells you.
I mean, I think that's kind of the weird hole that Marvel finds itself in, and the fact that like, it's hard to take things at certain values because all this context from all this other media is needed to get a lot of this stuff. So like, it's hard just coming in and looking at one individual thing because you might not know what is going on. And so you need to go watch, at least like 2 movies and another half of a TV show to understand what's happening. And it kind of makes it hard to judge because hard to judge it on just its own thing because it's like, oh, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. Oh, if you saw this Easter egg, it'll explain this. If you saw this episode, if you saw this end credit scene, it'll explain that. And so like, I feel like a lot of times Marvel isn't judged just on the merits of it alone as a film, but how it kind of weaves into this greater whole.
Yeah, and that's part of what's made it a strong property is its ability to do that well. But even within WandaVision, like we were just talking about, we've never been introduced to Sword, but through context clues, generally speaking, we're up to speed on what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they can do it in a way where you don't have to have that exterior knowledge. You just kind of...
Yeah, and you also trust that they will shed more light on that later. Like, sure. At this point, if you've been following Marvel at all, you do know that there will be certain things, and you're like, I don't know about that, and then you're going to learn about them later.
No, White Vision's gone for good, and those kids, that's the last we're going to hear of them.
Yeah, I guess it also kind of makes this show kind of strange in the fact that, like, they kind of played on that in the fact that, like, you're bringing up these mysteries and Marvel fans automatically will say, like, oh, they're going to elaborate on that later. Oh, they're going to say this thing about it later. Oh, they're going to do with it later. And then the show just goes, nope, and says, we're not going to do anything with any of that. This is just what we did. And so, like, I don't think it's right to get, like, super angry, but I can understand how some people are like, oh, okay.
It didn't deliver what I hoped it would, which, I mean, that's its own video. I mean,
yeah, it is.
I would say it delivered what I hoped it would.
Oh, it definitely got. That's the thing. Like, I'm probably coming at this the most negatively out of everybody here, but like the whole of the show, still very much thumbs up. That last episode, yeah, I cried. What of it? Like, that's what worked. But I think that it also did still have stuff that either didn't work or somehow, I don't know. My problem is that I simultaneously have like stuff that I think they put in that they just didn't need to put in. And it took away from stuff that they could have had. Like, before the fight scene at the end, where was Vision? Vision was about to come back and talk to Wanda about the whole, hey, you're mind controlling all these people and maybe you killed me thing. And they never got to have that conversation. He just showed up and he was like, I guess we can't fight now.
They both acknowledged it, I think, in a time of like, we don't have time to talk about this. Because she was like, I can set this right. And he's like, right for who and what do you mean? And she's like, no, I mean, I can set this right. I know what's happening. I realized I fudged up. I can set this right. He's like, oh, all right, I'm gonna go fight this cyborg, I guess. No,
yeah, like that wasn't as satisfying for me as it could have been. I wanted that character interaction because honestly, after
I understand
5, they didn't interact very much. Mm-hmm. They were on other sides of the world, and that was the relationship that made this show, I mean, exist, but also it's what made it successful.
And again, so the thing is like, the thing I really like about Marvel, and I know this really isn't a good excuse for the show. I'm acknowledging this. I'm saying, like, the thing I really like about Marvel is I'm enjoying the past movies more and more as more stuff comes out. And I can't believe it. Like, I watched Thor Dark World the other day, and I used to hate that movie. But since Endgame and Ragnarok, and like really looking back, I'm like, oh, there's things here that matter. There's things here that end up playing out later. Like, this show very well could be made better by Doctor Strange, by these jumping off points that it ends up paying off on. And I know that's hard to like then give this a B, or C on its individual value, but that's never how comics worked, and that's why the MCU doesn't work that way either.
Well, it's a sequel. I mean, I know it's the first season of WandaVision, but it's the next chapter of the MCU as a whole. Like, you wouldn't judge Taken 2 because you don't understand why Keanu is mad. Or not Taken. Jeez. My brain's not working.
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick. That's the one I was looking for. Liam Neeson and Keanu Reeves, same person.
Different murder movie.
Yeah, different. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't go, I don't get why he's mad about this dog. I started at 2. You know, but those movies also do a good job of, you can still kind of go in and see those movies and understand what's going on. And I think Marvel does a good job of that as well. As yes, do you get every nuance? No. Do you know that the Darkhold was in S.H.I.E.L.D. or before? No. Do you need to know that? No, because they kind of explain it in the show as well. You know, you can look at that book and see, all right, that's a book that's not good. You know, I feel like they do a good job.
As somebody who has only watched John Wick 2 and 3, I started John Wick 2 and was just fine jumping into that movie with knowing nothing about what happened.
About the dog.
I just know that he's real mad. And he's killing.
He's big mad.
Yeah, he's real mad. He's upset about something.
So I've got two white vision questions. One, when Wanda can't see what's right in front of her, starts getting her head crushed, how does she not just wreck him immediately?
Could you
her head was hurting, and her powers are mind powers.
Okay.
Also, no matter what, I mean, that's still the person she loves. I mean, even if he is crushing her head.
Sure. And clearly he's not if you use your eyeballs, but sure.
I mean, there's always going to be things that are plot. They needed Vision to intervene.
Yeah, they did it for the drama. Yeah. But so when the two Visions are fighting, they're both phasing and they're both using forehead lasers. So what does the Mind Stone do? Because he has like some shadow or bit of the Soul Stone, but he has the same exact powers.
The Mind Stone is a part of his personality, and the Mind Stone allows him to do the old like when he's touching people's brain bit.
Okay,
and also it shoots a laser beam, I guess.
A yellow one.
Yeah, but the other Vision does a laser beam too.
Oh, but did you catch why it had laser beam? It was an arc reactor.
It looks like a little.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
If you listen, when I
did not catch
when he beams it makes the noise too. It's a little baby arc reactor.
It's a unibeam, but stands for unicorn.
Unibeam. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great.
I did not notice that was a little arc reactor. That's cute.
These Hydra rejects of Iron Man technology now.
I don't see
that's great.
Energy outline. It just looks like a blue microchip, but it's making the right sound.
And who knows? Maybe it's like
the same shape as Tony's arc reactor.
And they could have. Who knows? Maybe they put it inside of him somewhere, and it's concentrated up there or something. But it definitely made the noise. It had the wind up beam sound. Like it was an arc reactor.
I want to meet the Hydra. Oh, sorry, sword scientist. It's like you guys. Let's unicorn this guy. It's gonna be so cool. Like, really, Bob? I don't know about this one. Like, no.
It's called a unicorn.
Bob has been trying to pull that unicorn stuff for decades. They're making a new weapon. He's like, hey guys, can we? And they're like, Bob, stop it. I don't know. I asked my kids that, Colton, and they didn't know the answer.
Why it's called a unicorn and not a unicorn? Do you know the answer?
I do not.
Okay, because corn is not what it's got.
It's not a corn.
So you would assume that it maybe has something to do with the same root and white of Capricorn? Like some sort of...
don't give me an actual answer, Josh.
Yeah, I wanted to. I'm glad I got
the cob. Kind of looks like a horn, but sure, that could also be a thing.
Actually, we got half of an actual answer, and that's the favorite kind. It could be this, maybe.
It could be this.
To Justin's point, though, about the characterization, for my money, even this part didn't make me cry, but I think it might have been my favorite moment in the show when they did the terrible flying and we've explained why the terrible flying or whatever. But when Vision screamed at Wanda, to me, I was like, oh,
that's probably my favorite part of the show.
And that's the conversation that Justin's talking about that they didn't have. There was never a reckoning on that front. And so, from that most powerful moment, it didn't turn into it what we got from that. So I understand what you're saying about the characterization, because what we got with that was okay, well now there's a threat, so I guess it's fine, right? Okay, go. That's pretty much what we got.
I disagree. Okay. Because Vision was pacified by Darcy. He did not know what Wanda has gone through. Wanda was like, so anyways, Wanda had to kill you. Time got reversed, and then she had to watch you get killed again, and Wanda's been through X, Y, and Z, and he's like, anyways, and he's then approaching it in a more sympathetic matter.
Oh, I didn't mean I wanted him to yell at her. I didn't mean I wanted them to fight.
Okay.
I just meant that interaction did not occur.
Off screen with Darcy instead of with Wanda.
Yeah. Yeah, so from a characterization standpoint, I understand what you're saying. That would have been a more powerful thing for them to reckon with on their
own. Honestly, this is going to sound weird, but you bringing up Rey Skywalker 20 minutes ago, no, it makes me realize a thing. And I feel about Monica the way that I felt about Finn.
I can see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
In that they tried to set up a character and they didn't pay it off, except she's going to get a sequel and he never did.
Right. No, she didn't do that much.
The same sort of thing where they just used that character as momentum. And that was it.
I'm not privy to disagree.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a thing. But like you said, at least we'll kind of get a payoff with Rambo at some point. Whereas Finn,
yeah,
he ain't never coming back.
Sorry, guys.
Oh no, he is not.
I will just throw out that it took me. I think I didn't know until after that episode's discussion that you're like, yeah, Rambo is the little girl from Captain Marvel, and I was like, oh, I didn't pick up on that.
See, that's the one thing that I actually did pick up on without knowledge of the comics or anything, and I was so happy. I'm like, yeah, it's her.
To be fair, I also, just in my opinion, I hate Captain Marvel. I do not like that movie one bit. I watched a movie and I was just not a fan. Even after watching it when I didn't have a garbage theater experience, I just watched it again and I was like, I don't like this. So probably characters from that just don't, and they don't seep into my brain as prevalent.
You know why I love that movie, and I can't even really give you a good plot and character reason, is because Hannah felt what I feel like walking out of every movie theater, and I believe Erica had a similar experience.
Well, sure.
I was very like that. Like going there and seeing a story and seeing a strong female and actually going through that process. And I wouldn't call the movie bad by any means. I think it was fun, and young Nick Fury was cool. I mean, the cat was kind of stupid in the end, and especially the scar, and there was some hokey stuff for sure. I mean, it's Marvel, but I was really happy that Hannah got to feel that.
I'm and believe me, I'm not saying that I hate the movie because I hate women. That's not what I'm saying at all here.
How dare you?
That makes it a little more.
Yeah. I just didn't care for the movie. And I can understand that the movie's important. And I mean, I'm also going to throw the hottest of takes. As a film itself, I don't necessarily think Black Panther is all that great. But I understand that movie is important. That movie is, important for other people in a way that is not meant for me. And just as a film itself, I think it's fine. I didn't think it's the best MCU film, but I can definitely understand that fact that walking out of the theater with Hannah, seeing, a representation of myself, and a fact that it's not just another muscular white man.
This is for our DC talk, but at the end of the day, for me, superheroes are. I feel like the purpose is to inspire and something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the fact that she got that, I feel like checkbox. And that's why DC is that just makes me want to just go put my head in a toilet. I don't want to be that Batman at all. But
I think plot points, if you look at Iron Man 1, it's the same as Captain Marvel. It's the same as Black Panther. They're all just superhero origin movies. None of them are really spectacular. It's about the character. And you go, oh, Iron Man's cool. Look, you got this sassy guy. He's he's the new Batman. I can understand what you're saying about both of those movies, but I really just happen to really like both of those characters. T'Challa is awesome. It's a tragedy that yes, his life and all of that. But even if you're just a kid and you don't know anything about the actor, that character was so awesome, because I think Colton was talking about this the other day. Everyone's quippy, and he was just this sincere dude, and it was so cool. And Brie Larson, Captain Marvel was quippy. But I liked her character, and Spider-Man's hi, I'm Spider-Man. She's hey, Spider guy,
hey, Peter Parker.
Yeah, hey, Peter Parker, yeah. And when she said, hey, Peter Parker, when that happened, I'm okay, I like this character.
No, I really like her, and that's my whole Shuri argument, because again, the role I think that needs to be filled in Black Panther is a leader. I don't care what they are. You know, again, Okoye would make a great Black Panther. Nakia would make a great Black Panther. M'Baku, also great Black Panther. That's my thing about Shuri. Like, she's her own thing, and she's wonderful at it. I'm not saying don't have a Shuri show either, or a Shuri movie. It's just that role. Like, I wanted Black Panther to lead the Avengers. That's what I wanted. I want him to be the next focal point. I think it's going to be Falcon, but that's like, again, on your left, when that portal opened, who walked through? It was the King. Like, it's the guy. Like, I'm here, baby. Like, everything's going to be all right. And guess who else is here? Like, it was so beautiful. And Shuri, I'm sorry, like, she's turned down the role twice in a time where she thought her brother was dead. Like, she doesn't respect the throne as much as other people. She gives middle fingers to her brother, whereas Nakia could have been a contender and was someone who, like, clearly females can be Black Panther. That's not an issue. She's just not the character type to be that. Again, Okoye, who apparently has been working with the Avengers and running things while both Shuri and Chitala were gone.
I always kind of took that scene in Endgame that she kind of, I like that she was king of Wakanda at that point.
I can't tell if there's a
she's
liaison to the Avengers and a ruler. I don't know what's going on there.
She's still the head of the, what is it?
And again, they can change characters, but like there's certain things, and like, just to say, yeah, Shuri was Black Panther in the comics. She's so different in the comics. Don't just say just because there's a precedent in the comics that's what's going to happen, because Marvel's constantly throwing curveballs there. Anyways, I could talk about that for a while. I love Shuri. I don't dislike the character. I'm talking about that mantle as far as it goes for Wakanda and the world. Sorry.
No, I mean, basically to sum it up, you hate Shuri. We got it.
I hate Black Panther. You hate Shuri.
Yeah.
You know, it's all
got it.
No, I really enjoyed Black Panther. I think Black Panther is like A+ movie until you get to like the third act, and then I think it becomes really messy.
Oh yeah, once you get to armored rhinos, yeah.
That's also the case with almost every superhero movie, though.
It's. I mean, we can save this for DC discussion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Wonder Woman thing of like, oh, you made 2/3 of a movie and then you made a blockbuster.
At least there was a good payoff with Killmonger.
If we want to talk about killing, I mean, granted, the way he died is probably the best villain death in Marvel. But I was sad to see him die because I was like, I really like this character. I want him to stick around. Which is why he's actually my number one person I want to be Black Panther, because I don't think they're going to kill Chitala. I think if they're going to reorganize these things, I think multiverses get involved. And hey, in this universe, their roles were swapped because one of their fathers was king and the other wasn't, and their roles were exactly swapped. So here is Michael B. Jordan as, I don't know his Wakandan name, but you know, Killmonger is, but he has a Wakandan name too that he announces at one point. Nope, like here's this guy, as if he was Chitala replacing him. I think that would be beautiful, because it's still a payoff, but that's we'll see. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen because I think it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
If I get to see shirtless Michael B. Jordan again, I'll take it.
I'm pretty sure Marvel hires 10 guys to talk in a room about what might happen. They record it and say, okay, so what are we doing instead?
They used to do that, and now they just have one guy who reads Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta cut those costs.
That sounds like a joke. And then they had an interview on the Kevin Smith podcast, and that kind of happened.
I'm sure, and I'm not. That might be smart. I like being surprised. I don't want to know what's going to happen.
So here's the problem with that.
I knew it was going to happen, and I think it affected my viewing.
The moment you start trying to change what you were going to do to fake somebody out, you're probably going to make something worse.
I believe that's exactly what happened with
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think it was Game of Thrones. Or I also want to say that the writers of Westworld were victims of that, and the fact that they started putting things in the show, people guessed it, they saw it online, and they actually went in and changed the script and everybody was like, "Wow, this new season's terrible," and they're like,
no, even for stuff that's not weird like this, like they did that for Mad Men, apparently. Like they changed the way that's the entire show ended because people guessed the way it was going, and they were like,
but I love that.
Want that.
I mean, but in the same token, I did perfectly guess Endgame, and it did go the way I thought. I can show you the text. Kevin asked me, "Hey, what do you think's going to happen in Endgame?" And I said, "This." Nailed it. It
was Mephisto.
It was Mephisto all along, dog. No, I don't know. I am really happy that I'm getting more MCU in my life. I really appreciate these guys. They haven't let me down in a while. I know they're not perfect. Like I definitely, there's some things. Even just why did you put a cracking sound in with Wanda's head? I'm just that's one of those things that takes you out of the moment, and I can complain about. Yeah, I overall, I thought it was ballin', and I'm glad Agatha's not gone. I know she's in her own permanent hell, which she probably deserves, but I don't think that's the last we see of her at all, which is great because most of the time Wanda's like, "Hey, need to know what's this about?" She's like, "Sure." So,
yeah, no, you always have to go visit All for One in the.
Yeah. I'm the only. Wait, no, Drake understands.
Yeah. Although
that last chapter was cool.
I'm not reading it, so.
Are those townspeople going to be cool with Agatha just living there? Because eventually, some like Dateline episode is going to come out and explain everything that happened, and they're going to be like, "She was a witch."
And now she's Agnes. She's the town witch, but she's harmless.
So to get into Ralph Boehner again, apparently that was Agatha's husband.
Yeah.
Against his will, and we don't know actually where he comes from. So again, there could be more there, and maybe not, but there could be.
He was from Westview, wasn't he? Was he like in real life? He was her husband.
He called her the Mrs. Like when the Mrs. was calling up, and I think that
was also that was when he was had the necklace and he was still under her spell. Because remember, the reason he finds out that he lives there is I still understand this, why he had bills still there, why Wanda didn't change the bills when she did the rest of the town. Like, why is that one room still have a picture, like a headshot of him with his name under it?
Because Agatha's in control of that area,
I guess. But yeah, sure. Just that one room she's got control over.
Why was that headshot there? That was very specifically a headshot.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was that doing there?
There was a headshot and a power ball.
Growing Pains joke.
It was like it must have been the day he was getting ready to go get his driver's license.
Tell you he's casted in something else?
Yeah, I don't want to know that.
Okay, cool. Well, then he's not.
Well, I mean, I don't want to know what else. Also, you just said, and someone else said earlier too, the thing about like not knowing, and I'm like really kind of torn because I kind of feel like Justin said, if you just look at what was actually in the show, it wasn't like super complicated or anything. And I'm like, I kind of feel like I just want to watch this stuff without super knowing a lot of stuff.
What was the word? Sorry.
I just want to, I kind of feel like maybe I want to watch, I don't know. Like I'm having, because obviously before we started all of this, we were like, what's okay spoilers wise? And I don't know. I kind of feel like it, since I don't, like I know a lot about DC, or at least old DC from the 90s, but I have kind of no frame of reference for Marvel other than like X-Men and Spider-Man. But none of MCU really is X-Men or Spider-Man for the most part. And so kind of everything that happens in the MCU is like news to me. And so I wonder, I don't know.
I think you're onto something, because like I'll watch the show on Friday when it comes out, and then I watch it like right before this because I definitely forgot everything that happened. The first time I watch it, I'm like, whoa, every episode is like, wow, this is amazing. This is so cool. And then the second time I watch it, I'm like, well, that didn't make any sense, and that was kind of dumb. And now that I know what happens, I don't know how I feel about this anymore.
Oh.
So maybe just never watch things twice.
Well,
I totally get. I totally get what you're saying, and like I agree, because like, so I just read Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War, and I refused to read them before I watched the movies, because actually I enjoy absorbing this content through the MCU more than I do the comics. And then I'll read the comics and I'm like, oh, I see what they kind of did there, and it's actually a really cool way to go about it. I'm glad, like I own House of M. I haven't read it. I was waiting for the show to end. And Avengers is disassembled, and like this whole, and so I'm like, okay, I'll look into some of these things. And it's really weird because now, like, after reading these, I have a whole nother like context on Mephisto. Do you guys remember in Infinity War when Ebony Maw, who's Squidward, is like hands?
Thank you for using his proper name.
Right. No, because who knows Ebony Maw?
Nope.
Because
Sure
they called him the Maw once. And like he hands him the Tesseract and he's like, nobody's greater to wield more than one Infinity Stone than your purple butt. Enjoy, blah, blah, blah. In the comics, that was Mephisto who said that entire line. So Mephisto has like a deep cuts into it, and I don't think they can avoid him at this point. And again, I stop reading at certain points because I'd rather just MCU tell me and then I read the books, which is why my MCU library is much smaller than my DC. But no, I get what you're saying.
So did you guys from the comics, like, I'm just curious, because again, I'm more of a DC person. So like, if you talk about Solomon Grundy, okay, I know who that is, for example. Whereas that's not, most people know Lex Luthor and Joker. Like, people know Magneto. I'm just curious. So, like, how many of y'all, like, knew who Agatha Harkness was before this show?
Yeah. And I don't even read the comic.
Okay.
I had cultural awareness.
Okay. That's what I was, because, like, I certainly had no idea. And, like, sorry, my camera is not the best. But you know what I mean? For like 6 episodes before that was revealed in the show, we're sitting here talking about Agatha Harkness. And I'm starting to think, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should like step away from these discussions. I'm having like a real push and pull about that's what I want to know.
I don't want to, and I hold back, like with the kids being Shards of Mephisto's soul. That is from House of M, which I have not read, but I know just from internet discussions. Unfortunately, now I'll be able to understand the full context. But yeah, it's.
I also think it's kind of hard to kind of like quantify that because you don't know how closely, because obviously a lot of comic book stuff is inspired by it, but you don't know exactly just how word for word. It's like when I watched Man of Steel and then I read All-Star Superman and I saw some of the stuff they pulled, but then I was like, wow, that movie's terrible compared to this. It's just the fact that they kind of like pull things here and there, and it's neat to read and see where they pulled from. But obviously they're not just going to make a word for page for. They're not going to watch.
Honestly, I probably hate the DC movies so much because I've read so much DC.
Yeah, that's I never thought about it that way, but that probably is.
I haven't read nearly as much DC, and I just hate all.
Well, it's like they're pulling all the best moments, but they did nothing to like earn them.
You didn't build up to the
moments from the characters. Just give me a Superman movie of what's so wrong with truth, justice, and the American way.
Hey!
I'll cry for an hour.
Save this for the 16th.
You're right.
Boys.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Come on, this is not the time and place.
It's happening.
I mean, just like when I said Watchmen, and the fact that like Watchmen, its bones are all Watchmen. But I can guarantee you Zack Snyder's idea of Watchmen and the movie he made is not the comic book Watchmen.
It's actually not that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I don't mean in like, I know it's like, the only, like it's pretty much, he was very kind of dedicated to keeping that original like shots and like words and stuff like that. I'm talking about the message Zack Snyder pulled from Watchmen and decided to put into his film. I think the message Zack Snyder puts into all of his films that only works for Watchmen is if superheroes existed, it would be god awful.
And that does kind of work for Watchmen because that's what
Watchmen's about. Yeah.
And he followed the story okay. And again, given like a movie, like having to cram that amount into a movie, I'm not dissatisfied with Watchmen.
I do want to watch that movie again. The 5 hour.
The 5 hour?
I got it. We can do it.
Take a 5 hour energy, watch that 5 hour movie.
I think he includes all the captain stuff, all the pirate boy.
Yeah, it's like animated, I think.
I wonder if it made it better than in the comic, because every time I had to read about the captain in the comic, I hated it.
Changed all those pages. Yeah, that's normal.
Just skipped ahead because it didn't matter.
Yeah, after a while I did. I started skipping them because I hated it. Which makes me feel really stupid. Like maybe I skipped the best part or something and I just was too dense to understand it. I really hated it.
I really like Kev's comment.
Yep.
It's really bad because my DCPU hate has only grown. And I've only seen them the amount of times I've seen them. I haven't gone back and rewatched. I've just like kept reading comics. I'm just like I read War on Crime and I'm just like, you just completely miss the whole point of the character Batman. Wow. Like you didn't make Batman, you made like he's a guy who dresses like a bat, sure, but he's a psychopath. No, I can't. I gotta wait.
I was gonna say,
yep. There will be time.
A turn here.
There will be time, and that time is 1 week from tomorrow.
And Damon, if you're watching, I love you. I feel like I'm gonna inevitably pull my punches, and I need to de-sober up.
This is the last DC thing I'll say. I don't know who you're going to be discussing with it, but DC is trash. The movies. DC
trash,
movies
man.
are trash. And I will say, okay, to be fair, there are some stinkers in my opinion in the Marvel universe, but like just like even like the baseline average of Marvel stuff, in my opinion, is fine. Like I probably wouldn't watch it again if I chose to, but like, I can only think of, just like one standout movie where I'm just like, this is so heinously bad, I just don't even want to talk about it anymore. And that's Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that way.
I used to.
And
I'm waiting for the day I like Iron Man 3. I keep trying every Christmas.
I told you I watched it like last week, and I didn't get to the kid, but I watched a good portion of it, and then I was like, I'm like, this is palatable. I stopped right before the second PTSD moment and the child, so we'll see.
I don't know. This movie doesn't feel like Iron Man to me. It feels like, which again, I love Beverly Hills Cop. Love Beverly Hills Cop. But it felt like Beverly Hills Cop met some sort of like Jingle All the Way with some Iron Man in it. I don't know what that movie was, and it didn't lead to anything, and it didn't pay off. And I don't.
No, they completely rewrite the ending in the next movie.
But some of Tony Stark's character in the movie is great. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking away from like his acting or like the anxiety attacks and everything he was dealing with. That is good. I agree. But the whole movie, I'm just like, okay, there's extremists, I guess. But
see, I decided to do a chronological Marvel rewatch, and everything was going fine up until I got to Thor: The Dark World, and I stopped because it just left such like a bland taste in my mouth. I was like, hi. And then I had Iron Man 3 right after that, so I was like, I can't do that 1-2 punch right now. I gotta wait a minute.
It was a rough year for Marvel.
It was.
I have to go potty. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. You guys can be mean to me.
Wait 5 seconds, and then let's start being real mean.
Oh, wait.
I think you were onto something, Jory, and also thank you for watching again, because like watching it the first time and then coming back, because I didn't watch it again, and I also I don't want to.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, like
which is weird.
And I may have missed like tiny details, but I feel like by and large I got the gist of it.
Yeah, it's weird because like I can rewatch The Mandalorian till I die, and it's not like it doesn't have flaws too, but just something I don't know how to describe about it doesn't bug me the way like these little nonsensical pieces of this show that I catch up on the second time I see it.
Like when there's soldiers walking by in the background as they like just beat up these guards and stuff, and they're like, hey.
Like, so this is a thing. I just watched Winter Soldier again. And at the end, they have Sharon Carter joined the CIA after S.H.I.E.L.D. falls.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a better move. At best, it's lateral move. We don't kill people from helicarriers. We just do our political hits with the CIA instead. Like in this show, the FBI is the hero. Like what? What are we talking about?
Wait, so you have a problem with her joining the CIA? That's your problem?
Like she went from S.H.I.E.L.D. because they were infected by Hydra and were killing all these people. So she goes to the CIA, who like overthrow political regimes on a regular basis whenever they feel like it. What are we doing?
Because the fictional government organizations are bad. The CIA and the FBI are good and morally just and do no wrong. Like the war on drugs is fine. It's fine.
Worked out perfectly.
Smooth sailing. But you know, it's the fact that like they don't want to. They don't want to float into criticizing real government institutions. They want to put fake ones as the boogeymen of these stories.
Yes. And that makes sense because that's what comics do is like, look at this. Yeah. Like X-Men is not about prejudice against mutants. That doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
X-Men is about a different type of prejudice that does exist. But it's understanding how they're using that as allegory. You know what I mean? So I see.
But then we had we had S.H.I.E.L.D. and we had Hydra being part of S.H.I.E.L.D. this whole time, and then they got rid of it and it fell. And they're like, oh, well, we need another bad government organization. Let's use SWORD. It's like, we already did this, though.
They did already do it, and they're doing it some more.
But it's beautiful because no matter what, when you have organizations like that, there's always jerks. There's always pieces of crap, and they're going to find their way in because people be people. That's at least how I feel about it. You know what I mean?
That makes sense, but like, if you're a character in this universe,
racist, you have Hydra. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're a character in this universe. You just watch S.H.I.E.L.D. fall, and you're like, "Well, we got SWORD. Let me join that." And like, you're like a baseline good person, and you're like, "This will go great. Let me get involved in this."
And it's realistic though. And I hope it's not Hydra.
Would you rather she have gone and got a job at Denny's? Like she was doing something like that people trained to do.
That's Rallies.
That's Rallies. Excuse me,
while she phases through bullets.
It'll be interesting. Hey, can we do my show off and tell?
Yeah.
Just real quick. All right. Do you have a children clapping and cheering sound effect to put in for me?
We'll just do it.
Yeah. We can be kids.
They're the children.
All right. No.
Yay!
I'll be Tommy.
I've got some things to show over time. I just wanted to.
Oh wow!
Bust this out because I never do.
I love witness protection, Josh. By the way,
this is my poster from Age of Ultron of Elizabeth Olsen signed. Got a nice signature poo. Met her at San Diego Comic-Con 2014. Behind that, I got. I got this is Paul Bentley signing up here for Vision, and then Quicksilver signing down here. I got some nice posters. More to come later. I just wanted to show off.
We never talked about how much. We didn't talk about how much better Scarlet Witch's costume is.
Oh man, I love
that next costume.
Very crimsony, but I like it.
Man, I really didn't for some reason.
Because it's dark. I know you, and it's because it's dark.
Maybe because it should be red instead of black. Is that why, Colton? Is that what's happening?
I know exactly. When I saw it, I knew exactly how you felt. I'm like, well, I
didn't even identify that as the reason, but you're probably right.
He looks like Magneto. She doesn't look like Scarlet Witch.
It is cool that she has the thing. Look, it's
the thing is cool, and also when she gained her powers back and seemed to be like when she got it all back and under control, she seemed happy and at peace, which was nice. I thought that was pretty cool. She was like, and Vision was like, "You're gonna set things right." And she's like, "Yes, but not for us." And she's like, "No, not for us." And they smiled, and then it was a peaceful, sad ending. I liked all that.
Man, I only have one thing to say about the ending that didn't sit right.
Paul Bentley. Sorry, Kevin.
You always do it, but I always let it go, and I like it.
No, it's Paul.
No, with the ending. like the only thing that didn't feel real was there's like a 0% chance that they leave the room with the kids. Like, that's not what parent would do.
Agree. 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree.
That is something that
you sit
got
there and you
by
wait for
somebody
it.
who doesn't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like it.
I just think ultimately probably the writers just wanted it to be them.
Yeah, but that's bad.
Yeah. That everything else felt very real and earned, and that somehow didn't.
Yeah,
Also,
I didn't think about that, but I agree.
line, thanks for choosing me to be your mom.
Yeah.
So
that was not a choice.
I don't get it.
I think that might have been an intentional line. Like that might go into like some of the stuff as Colton was talking about with Mephisto and stuff like that. I don't think that was just like a.
No, I'm actually with Josh and Justin on this one.
It's a good thought, but it's just like, thanks for choosing Walmart. That's what I said out loud when she said that. I turned to Eric and I said, thanks for choosing Walmart.
The closest thing I have to compare to is my dog, which does not compare. But like, if he happened to not be real and was fading away, I wouldn't close the door and just bail out. I would sit with him until that happened. You know.
You've also known your dog more than 5 days.
Yeah, I love my
that
puppy
helps.
boy. I love my baby boy dog.
Stream over.
Beavis, what do you mean? Elaborate. No,
7 out of 10.
I don't call her Samantha. It just doesn't feel right.
Mm-mm.
That's fair.
I just had a little pause.
Since I was like 11.
So I guess we're going to do this for Falcon.
I would like to.
Old Winter Soldier.
I would like to. So my thing is like, and even with Black Widow, like I know people aren't excited, but like even when you go into past movies, there's still world building for the future. I don't think they do these things just be like, this is just in the past and it will amount to nothing.
And that's what I'm hoping they do with other Quicksilver for sure.
No, but I don't like that because now I feel obligated. Like
the plan is working, Justin.
In a thing that I want to see in like 18 months, I gotta go see this other thing I don't want to see.
For Marvel, like it has been such a joy since 2008 and going through a lot of hard times. Like it's been a light just like every year, and last year truly was even more terrible because I didn't have my MCU. I really like that I get like my like comic book visual viewing this way, and I'm so thankful for these guys. At this point, I'm committed. They have to do worse than 2013 in order for me to like really get upset with them. And now that I know that Kevin Feige has much more control than he did during, the Inhumans phase, thank you, Stephen, for educating me. Like I have full faith going forward at this point.
Man,
unlike Zack Snyder. See you on the 16th or whatever it is.
There's a lot of actors, but way more artists and like, post editors and stuff like that who would love to hear you say that, I'm sure, because like these films take thousands of people to make. And one assumes, when you're sitting there clicking points for 13 hours, it'd be good. You know what I mean? It's nice to know that people enjoy this stuff and that it it's superhero movies, but it does make a difference to people.
Hate to butt in, but enough of this crap. I gotta go. I hated WandaVision. I'm never watching another MCU thing ever again. I'll see y'all around.
Do we have to reorganize our frames?
I need to go as well.
Oh, okay.
So we'll put the rest on Patreon for.
Yep. See y'all later.
All right, man.
Stay tuned in for my anti-CIA rant.
Yes!
Oh, can't wait. Sorry for watching. Please like and subscribe to watch it some more.
I mean, I ain't got nowhere to be.
I got